Hey guys, in part 3 I left you with two problems. Problem 1 was you were given a matrix 5, 4, 1, 2 and we had to find its eigenvalues and eigenvectors. So we'll begin by finding the eigenvalues. So we know for eigenvalue we need the characteristic equation, that is A minus lambda I, determinant of A minus lambda I equals to 0. So this will become 5 minus lambda, 4, 1, 2 minus lambda, determinant is equal to 0. So solving this, it will be 5 minus lambda into 2 minus lambda minus 4 is equal to 0. This comes out to be lambda squared minus 7 lambda plus 6 is equal to 0. So when you solve this quadratic equation, you get lambda is equal to 1 and 6. So our eigenvalues are 1 and 6. That means it can be either option A or option C. So we just ignore option B and D. Now we need to find the eigenvectors corresponding to eigenvalues 1 and 6. Now in these problems A and C, you can see that the eigenvector, one eigenvector is different, that is 4, 1, 1, 4. The other eigenvector 1 minus 1 and 1 minus 1 is same. So we have to just find which eigenvector is right. Now you can see for eigenvalue 6, 1, we are having eigenvectors as 4, 1, 1 minus 1 or 1, 4, 1 minus 1. So we only have to check whether our eigenvector is 4, 1 or 1, 4 because the other eigenvector is same for both the options A and C. So let's take lambda is equal to 6. I'll use the homogeneous equation A minus lambda I into x is equal to 0. A minus lambda I will be same thing, 5 minus lambda, 4, 1, 2 minus lambda into x. X I'll take as A, B is equal to 0. Now we are having lambda equals to 6. So this will become 6 here and this will become 6 here. 5 minus 6 is minus 2. 5 minus 6 is minus 1, 4, 1, 2 minus 6 is minus 4 and we'll have here A, B equals to 0. Now this multiply both the matrices, we'll have minus A plus 4B is equal to 0 and we'll have A minus 4B is equal to 0. From this we'll get A is equal to 4B. That is, if the value of B is 1, then the value of A will be 4 into 1, that is 4. So it will be 4, 1. So we can see that our option C 1, 4 is wrong. So our answer is option A. In the second problem, it has been given that we are having a 4 by 4 traceless matrix with two eigenvalues minus 1 and plus 1. We have to find the other two eigenvalues. Now since it is a 4 by 4 matrix, we know total eigenvalues will be 4. Now trace of a matrix we know is given as the sum of the eigenvalues. 4 eigenvalues will be lambda 1 plus lambda 2 plus lambda 3 plus lambda 4. Traceless means this trace will be equal to 0. Now 2 eigenvalues are minus 1 and plus 1. So I can write minus 1 plus plus lambda 3 plus lambda 4 is equal to 0. Minus 1 plus 1 is 0. So we'll have lambda 3 plus lambda 4 is equal to 0. That means the other two eigenvalues are such that the sum of those two eigenvalues will give us 0. So here now, plus 1 and plus 1 is not equal to 0. 0 plus 1 is not equal to 0. 0 plus 2 is not equal to 0. Minus 1 plus 1 is equal to 0. So our answer is option D. So in the previous part, we looked into eigenvalues and eigenvectors and also into some important properties related to the nature of eigenvalues for given type of matrices. Now I said in the last video that we will continue with eigenvalues and eigenvectors, but we have almost completed that topic in the previous video itself. So in this part, we'll look into some other subtopics in matrices. But before we begin, I'll give you some important points. Point number 1. If A and B are both n by n matrices, n by n means square matrices, then determinant of AB is equal to determinant of A into determinant of B. Point number 2. I told you in the previous video that for linearly independent matrices, we have determinant is not equal to 0. For that, sometimes in the question you are having only vectors in the form v1, v2 and v3. So how do you find whether these three vectors are linearly independent or not? For that, you can do v1 bar dot v2 cross v3. Now if this is not equal to 0, then we can say these three vectors are linearly independent. Third point, what does it mean when you say simultaneous eigenvector of two matrices? That is, if two matrices have the same eigenvector but different eigenvalues, then that eigenvector is called as the simultaneous eigenvector of the two matrices. So let's say we are having two matrices A and B, and we are having, now these two matrices have the same eigenvector, let's call them X, but different eigenvalues, lambda 1, lambda 2. Then this X is called as the simultaneous eigenvector of A and B. Point number 4, I told you in the previous video itself that linearly independent matrix is such that determinant is not equal to 0, and linearly dependent matrix is such that the determinant of the matrix is equal to 0. Now, if the determinant of the matrix is equal to 0, it is also called as a singular matrix. And if the determinant of the matrix is not equal to 0, then it is also called as a non-singular matrix. And if a matrix is non-singular, that is its determinant is not equal to 0, then its inverse exists. Now we'll begin with Cayley-Hamilton theorem. So what exactly is this Cayley-Hamilton theorem? It states that every square matrix satisfies its own characteristic equation. For example, as we just saw in the beginning of this video, we are having a matrix 5, 4, 1, 2. Now we saw its eigenvalues were 1 and 6. Now when you use its characteristic equation is determinant of A minus lambda I is equal to 0. When you take the characteristic equation of this one, you get 5 minus lambda, 4, 1, 2 minus lambda, determinant is equal to 0. Solve this, we'll get a quadratic equation which goes as lambda squared minus 7 lambda plus 6 is equal to 0. Now as this theorem states that every square matrix satisfies its own characteristic equation. That means when we solved the characteristic equation, we got this value which will give us the eigenvalues, the solution lambda. So according to this theorem, these lambdas can be replaced by the value, the matrix itself, A. So you can write A square minus 7A plus 6 into identity matrix I is equal to 0. Now from this equation, we can easily take out the trace and the determinant. Trace of A is nothing but lambda 1 plus lambda 2, sum of the eigenvalues. 6 plus 1, this should be 7. So thus the trace of A is nothing but minus coefficient of lambda raised to n minus 1. Or instead of lambda, you can write it as A, or you can write this as A raised to n minus 1, where this n is the order of the matrix. Now the determinant of A is nothing but the product of the eigenvalues, right? So this is 6 into 1, that is 6. This can be written as the constant term divided by minus 1 raised to n, where n is the order of the matrix. Thus this Cayley-Hamilton theorem can be used to get the trace and determinant easily. Now we look into the rank of a matrix, which we are going to denote by rho of the matrix A, that will call as rank of the matrix A. Thus the rank of a matrix is the order of the largest square submatrix having non-zero determinant. What this means is that, let's say you are having a 3 by 3 matrix. Now you take the determinant of that matrix. If the determinant is not equal to 0, then the rank of the matrix will be equal to 3. Now if the determinant of this 3 by 3 matrix is equal to 0, then rank of our matrix will not be 3, it will be some value less than 3. So how do we find that exact rank now? For that, we'll take our 3 by 3 matrix and delete some row on column to get a 2 by 2 matrix. Now if you do the determinant of this 2 by 2 matrix and if we get not equal to 0, then our rank of that matrix will now be equal to 2. The other cases, this determinant of 2 by 2 matrix may be equal to 0. If it is equal to 0, then our rank of A will not be 2, it will be less than 2. So now what we will do is, again from this 2 by 2 matrix, we will delete some row or column and get a 1 by 1 matrix. Now if the determinant of this 1 by 1 matrix is not equal to 0, then our rank will be equal to 1. Now if the other cases, if this determinant is equal to 0, then our rank of our matrix will be less than 1. That means our rank of our matrix will be 0. So this is how you find the rank of a matrix. We can say that every matrix is a sub-matrix of its own matrix. Now as I said before, that if you are having non-zero determinant, then our matrix is linearly independent, and those matrices which are having non-zero determinant, that means which are linearly independent, are also called as non-singular matrix. All those matrices in which all the elements are 0 are called as null matrix. Now since this is a 1 by 1 matrix, that means it will have only element, and that element is equal to 0, then this matrix will be the null matrix. Thus you can also say that the number of linearly independent rows or columns is the rank of a matrix. Now we will look into non-homogeneous equations. Non-homogeneous equations are of the form Ax is equal to b. If b is equal to 0, then we will have homogeneous equation. So to find the solutions of these types of equations, we are going to make an augmented matrix first. This augmented matrix will be a combination of A and B, where you will put first the square matrix A and then the column matrix B. You will get the augmented matrix C. Now these non-homogeneous equations can either have solution or the solution may not exist. If the solution exists, it can be of two types. It could be a unique solution, or this equation could have infinite number of solutions. So first we will find the rank of A and the rank of C. A is this matrix, C is this augmented matrix. If the rank of A is equal to the rank of C, then our solution will exist. If the rank of A is not equal to the rank of C, then our solution will not exist. If the rank of A is equal to rank of C is equal to n, where n is the number of unknown variables, it could be like xyz only 3 variables or only 2 variables, like that, then we'll have a unique solution. If the rank of A is equal to the rank of C, which is less than the number of unknown variables, then we will have infinite number of solutions. Now we are going to look into similarity transformation. What is this similarity transformation of a matrix? It says that, let's say you have a matrix A. Okay, now we will apply some transformation on A, that we will get another matrix B, but these both matrices will be similar. Similar matrices means they will have the same eigenvalues, same rank, same trace and same determinant. So how do you go about doing this transformation? So we can do this transformation as B is equal to P inverse A P. So then we can say that this matrix A has been transformed into this matrix B, where both A and B are similar matrices. Now what is the use of this thing? This can be used in the diagonalization of a matrix. That means if A is a non-diagonal matrix, then we can do the transformation on this A, similarity transformation on A, and get a diagonal matrix. So in this way we can reduce the complexity of our problem, transform our complex matrix into a simple matrix, and since they both are having same eigenvalues, rank, tensor and determinant, the problem becomes easier. So thus we can also write this as the diagonal matrix of A will be equal to P inverse A P, because after all this is a non-diagonal matrix and this is the diagonal matrix of this matrix A. How do you find P or dA here? First, we are already having A. So for A we will find the eigenvalues and the eigenvectors. Put those values to get P. So our P will be x of A, x1, x2 and x3 and so on, these values. Then we'll find P inverse which will be 1 by determinant of P into adjoint of P. Then you can put the values of P here, P inverse here, and get dA, which will be a diagonal matrix. So this diagonalization of a matrix is possible only when if A, which is a n by n square matrix, is having n number of linearly independent eigenvectors. Only then the diagonalization is possible. Or you can also say this as if our matrix A has all the eigenvalues as non-degenerate eigenvalues. That is, if all lambda eigenvalues of A are non-degenerate, that means X will be linearly independent. This we saw this in the previous videos, that diagonalization is possible. But if this matrix A has linearly independent eigenvectors which are less than n, then the diagonalization is not possible. Now if this non-diagonal matrix is Hermitian, then this P will be a unitary matrix. Once we know the diagonal matrix of this non-diagonal matrix A, so from here A we can write as P dA P inverse. Okay. Now e raised to A can be written as P e raised to dA P inverse, or cos A can be written as P cos of dA P inverse, or sin A can be written as P sin of dA into P inverse, or A power m can be written as P dA the whole power m P inverse. So now you might be wondering, then finding cos dA, sin dA, dA raised to m, e raised to dA is difficult. No, it is not. It is very easy. If our matrix dA is such that it is a diagonal matrix ABC with all the other elements equals to 0, then e raised to dA will be e raised to A, e raised to B, e raised to C, and 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Cos A will be, cos dA will be sin dA will be sin A 0, 0, 0, sin B 0, 0, 0, sin C. dA the whole raised to m, this will be A raised to m, B raised to m, C raised to m, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. That is how easy this is. Now as I said that these two matrices are both similar, similarly these two matrices are also similar matrices. For similar matrices we saw that their trace, the determinant, their eigenvalues and their rank are same. Therefore we can write here that trace of e raised to a will be equal to the trace of e raised to dA, and the determinant of e raised to a will be equal to the determinant of e raised to dA. Now trace of e raised to a, which is equal to trace of e raised to dA, will be nothing but the sum of the eigenvalues of e raised to dA. That means it will be e raised to a plus e raised to b plus e raised to c plus so on. Or we can write e raised to lambda 1 plus e raised to lambda 2 plus e raised to lambda 3 plus so on. And the determinant of e raised to a is equal to our determinant of e raised to dA, which we can write as e raised to a into e raised to b into e raised to c into so on, or e raised to lambda 1 into e raised to lambda 2 into e raised to lambda 3 and so on, which can also be written as e raised to a plus b plus c plus so on, which is nothing but e raised to trace of the matrix dA. Trace of the matrix dA is equal to the trace of matrix A, which can be written as e raised to trace of A. Okay, so in the next part we will look into the transformation of coordinates via rotation, reflection and translation. So till then, take care, peace be upon you.